recording our session. We're in our lecture for Design 350 on today, October 27th. I do have a, oh, and Laura, can you mute? I think I'm getting some feedback. Thank you. I do have a scheduling meeting at 10 o'clock. So during lab, I'm going to just let you guys go to town. We have some cool new things for you to do in the lab. You can go out and do some more good survey. We're going to be working on traverses today after I do some basic stuff with you. But let's check and see what's coming up. First of all, our last webinar of the Fair Housing series is on Thursday. And this is going to be a panel. There's, I think, 4 people on the panel, all from this area that have worked on gentrification, which is where basically housing prices are driven up at the expense of the people that live there now, and then they can no longer afford to live there. And in general, gentrification is considered a bad thing, but it's also considered a good thing because it's new housing and new this for new people, and it's regenerating a neighborhood. And so this is not an easy subject, and so it's going to be really interesting. And I'm less of an expert on this than anything of the land use stuff. So it should be a really interesting panel to hear about, and we might consider that our project, the Winding Oats project, supports gentrification. So we'll have to sort of find out about it and see. So that's coming up Thursday, and based on this, I'll probably have an additional optional model. You'll notice I did post a number of new optional models. We need to finish our ability to survey first before you get into the optional modules, but they're there for you to review and look at and think about. So that's coming up on Thursday. On Sunday, we have an ungraded portfolio checkup. I strongly suggest that you do the checkup. It's pretty important to get that check in so that I can see how you're doing, okay? And so they're all on this 67 Civi site. That's the one we're using. As you know, I like to use a site that you've drawn before and are somewhat familiar with and may have an image in your mind and what you can do with it. And so I'd like from your survey game results that you did last week to see your boundary property line drawing along with your boundary survey record. I have recently had programmed for me an automatic checking program. If this thing works, then I can actually turn it over to you so you can check your own program, own work ahead of time. But this is going to help me check those and check your work. So I'll need your drawing and your survey record. Have your initials on each one so I can tell whose is whose. We've got a new game today. And it's for a traverse, and I'll show you what it looks like. There's 4 traverses, I don't know. I didn't even spell it right here, traverse. And so there's a new game, and there are 4 rods on each of the 5 rods, or 6, on each of the traverse. And the idea is to draw the section view based on those. Now, as you do that, you're going to find some significant problems with your section view. So based on those, you'll go into new game file number 2, which I should probably put links on there. But in game file number 2, there are the same 4 traverses, but you get to add rods where you want. In other words, you will be placing the rods rather than just going to an existing rod. So there's rods around the outside, and then there's rods on a traverse, and then there's rods where you put. Yes, Wasan asks, am I recording? And yes, I am recording. Okay, and so so that's what's going to be up, and it's ungraded. I'm still trying to get a hang. It's hard for me to make a hard and fast assignment for you because I'm using totally new technology here. So what I would normally assign, I have to make sure that everybody is moving along and getting stuff as I do the assignments. But next week, there will be assigned surveys. And they are the type of thing where you can either record yourself doing the survey or do it with a partner or two, even if you're all able to get that recorded. But everybody has to be able to do all the parts if you can. So this will be an ungraded portfolio check, and I have not created the portfolio requirements yet. Still seeing what people can do. So up for today, you'll see that here is a Canvas page. I guess I moved. So here's a Canvas page where I'm basically recording all in one shot all the things that we've talked about so that you can kind of go back and get some of the basic information. So that's all in the module. I will put the recording here. Now what I've got is that, what's that? Oh, it's just a reference for you. It's just a reference if you want it all in one place rather than going to the calendar. It's basically just where I'm putting all the calendar work in Canvas. Usually I go the other way. Usually I put the Canvas work on the calendar. But this time I'm making it up as I go along because I'm literally this morning at 6 a.m. I got the file, the game files for use for today. So it's been quite the development process of how to teach surveying when you have no access to survey equipment. So you're getting you guys are all guinea pigs. Okay, and so I made a video though. I think you guys can thank Wasan, I think was the one that brought it up, of how do you use the XY coordinates to do the boundary drawing. And so there's a video, and I put it in the announcements too, I think. It's pretty straightforward. But now, so that's using X, Y, Z coordinates, but you only used X and Y. I didn't put the Z in because I wanted to start easy. So everybody please on the chat line, let me know, have you made an XY boundary drawing? And please be honest, because if it's no, I need to show everybody how to do it. But if the preponderance of people have, yeah, yeah, I like that. Super easy. I've done it. It should be pretty easy. So there's 2 yeses. We'll see if there's any. No, I didn't. But you did watch the video. Yes. So Laura, do you feel that from the video I can go on to XYZ for you? Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it's just going to be, yeah, it's going to be one step more critical, more difficult. And so I think since many people did go ahead and do, and I know Wasan did, I think it was Wasan. My brain is so fried right now. I don't know about you guys. You're probably just as scrambled as I am. Maybe not quite as much. But I think I'll just go on to doing the XYZ, a 3D Autocad file with the elevation as text on a layout. Okay? And so that's what we're going to be looking for of what to do. Okay? And then I'll show you also how to use Revit. Revit is so flippin' much easier in some respects than this. But not everybody is going to have Revit, and not everybody is going to have clients that want to use Revit. So Laura says, are we going to review survey equipment? The answer, Laura, is yes. But it will just be blah, blah, blah until I can show you how to use the data. And then I can actually, I've got some videos. I have all the equipment here at my house, and I've got my rig set up to be able to video and what to do. But it will really make zero sense until we've had a chance to go over this. And that's going to be one of the optional units that you can say, okay, I want to know how to do that. And so like some of this stuff is really easy. It's real easy to use one of the tracker wheels to do a length measurement. It's real easy to use lasers to find length measurements. So we'll go over some of it, but that's a good question. Yes. You will have a chance to review how the survey equipment works. And then if you want to spend $15,000 and get your own set, man, you're in great shape. So, okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to, here's some data. It was taken from, I think this is a version of Laura and Michelle's data, but I've scaled it. I don't want to do anybody's data or drawing for them, but you'll probably see that this is very, very similar. It's going to be about the same size and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw this now in 3D. It's gonna look 2D at first, but it's really gonna be 3D. So let me pop this window over to the side and bring up my AutoCAD. And right off the bat, since I'm going to be working in 3D, you're going to notice down here, remember that little gear down there? I'm going to make sure it says 3D modeling, and that's going to change my ribbons just a little bit. So the ribbons look a little bit different now. Okay? But I've still got my north, south, east, west up here. I've got my properties over here. But now you can see the draw box is just a little bit smaller, and there's 3 new ones here. Now, technically, I don't really need those, but I like to be in 3D if I'm going to be working 3D. Okay? Now I'm going to bring this over to the side so that I have both up at once. Come on. It's going to move over, and this is going to move over, and I don't care about my T1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to make that big enough so hopefully you can see. And I'm only going to use 1 decimal place, just so that I don't have to type as much. Okay. So make it 1 decimal place. Now, there's all sorts of tricks that I can use. if you're an Excel fan, you can export this to what's called a comma separated variable file, open it in WordPad, and instead of typing everything like I'm going to do, you could literally copy and paste these. So what you're seeing here is the hard way to do it, and it can be done in an easier fashion. But I'm going to start at this point, so I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to start at 456.9, comma, 837.2, comma, 56.6. And I'm going to go to my next one, 456.9, comma, 815.3, comma, 59.1. Let's just see where that ended. Now I don't know. Let's try that again. Draw a line from 456.9, comma, 837.2, comma, 56.6 to, yeah, see, this is why it's so hard to do this. 456.9, comma, 815.3, comma, 59.1. And there's my line. And you know, I'd put it on the right layer and all that kind of stuff. So what you saw there is I got this one wrong. That should have been 459.6. Ha! Isn't that cool? What I can do? And then I just keep going with that. So my next one is going to start there. And it's going to go to my next line over here. It's going to go to 463.7, comma, 781.1, comma, 61.7. Well, that doesn't look right. So that might have a problem with it going on. Did I type those in right? 459. Oh, no, I went from the wrong one. There we go. And then my next one is 480.8, comma, 642.5, comma, 72.4. Zoom out. So that was just that one. So now my next one is from endpoint I was just out to 480.8, comma, 524.8, comma, 72.2. Yeah, I mean, golly. Is that the one I'm on now? It's like I can't tell what I'm doing. It's hard to running like 3 of these at once. Nope, 642.5. That's where I started, and then I went to here. Right? So if I do that line, that one started at 459, 837.56, and it ended at 456. That should have been 459.4. So I got that one wrong. 456.9. Man alive. What's going on with all these? There we go. So, but that's how you do it. You have to go line by line by line, and get them in at X, Y, and Z. Okay, and these are not running in a straight line. I can see that. Right? So maybe they're really good, maybe they're not. But that's how you get your X, Y, and Z. Now what I want to show is this truly is 3D. See how that truly is 3D? So once you've gotten this in as 3D, you're able to do that. You're able to actually make a 3D model based on what you've got right here. Here AutoCAD is naturally top is your Z. So it's naturally set north, south, east, west are your bottom plane, and Z is that elevation. So you're okay where you are. So let's see. I got to look. This one should be 456.9. To 456.9. And this one should be, so now that looks right, 456.9, and then 463, that looks that looks right now. Okay. There it goes. And so that's how you make your boundary as you go. You just do them one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. Okay, and now when you come over to here to do your layout, and set your scale, this is probably going to be something like, there we go, 1 to 100. Okay, then you would put your points on here. Okay, now how do you tell where your corner points are or where each piece is? There's two ways you can do that, but the way I prefer to do it is to, where's my layers? Here they are. I like to make a layer called node. And I'm going to make it red just so that it's easy for me to see. White continuous. And I can decide whether it's something I want to print or not. But usually I won't print it because it's just for my reference. And what I do is I make a ball right on the end of that thing that I can kind of see. And that should be on my node layer. And then I can copy that. That is sort of like a marker that lets me know where each line segment was. So that as I move around, I can see them. So that's just a little trick that you can use. Now you can go back and put your text on there. And I'm going to leave my text in this kind of crummy thing here, and I'll go to my annotate and put a multi-leader. And that was an elevation of 56.6 feet. Try that again. And I don't know why I'm not seeing that. don't know why my leader must have been too close, or there's something off on my leaders. Okay, but you can put your elevations in there. And of course, you can get them the right size, 0.125, all that kind of stuff. Now, what's interesting is I can put that in just the places I want now. So you can see from making your boundary, you have to use the right layer. I'm just showing you a technique. You should go through and do all those. Okay, let's see. Here's Natalia's really quick. Okay, there we go. 496. Yeah. Okay, and so Natalia just posted hers up if you need to take a look at it. All right, but I'm just trying to give you the show. You make a 3D version. It truly is 3D. It's going up, it's going down, it's going left, it's going right, it's going all over the place. But you're still going to show it 2D. Now, your property lines often don't show up properly in 3D. All right, so how you work with that in Autocad is sort of up to you. Where was the node? Oh, here's how you make a node again. Okay, I'll go back to the model. And let me get rid of a couple of nodes. Oh, too much. So to make what I call a node, I basically just put a sphere on it. Okay, you see the sphere command up there? To get the sphere command, I'm in 3D modeling on my setup. 3D modeling. And that allows the sphere command to come up. It's in this set. It might say box or something like that. So there's the sphere command. And literally you just pop it on it and kind of make it whatever size you want. But then you put it on a layer that I've set up called node. And as I set up that layer, I told it not to print. So it's a no print layer. It's a reference marking for me only. Okay? Now what you'll find is that if you make these phantom and things like that, they often don't show themselves up correctly in 3D. So you may have to go retrace, redraw, or use something called the flat shot command. But that's a lot of work, and I'm going to show you how to do it in Revit instead. Okay, if you have done flat shot command, it's not too bad. You can come over here and you can do something called flat shot, which makes a flat layer of it, a flat shot on its own layer that you can assign to a different layer. So that's the flat shot. And you can make it a block, you can export it as a file, you can do all sorts of, you can make it a different line type. So when you do this flat shot thing, it took the solids and made them a flat shot. Now you can trace line to line to line on the ground. Okay, but you don't have to worry about that for now. Yeah, you could do that over in model space too. I usually do it from over here so that I know the things that I'm interested in instead of everything. But yeah, you could do a flat shot right from there. Okay, and it'll just pop. It's sort of like a straight shadow flat onto the ground of your solids, and so it puts that down flat onto a plane for you. But at that point, okay, I'm going to show you another way that's really easy. Okay, so I'm going to make a copy of this file. Save as. I'm just going to call it flat copy. So what's the other way to do that very quickly to put that all on the ground? What would I do there? I would say my Z is 0. That line is now on the ground. My Z is 0. Okay, so you can change everything so that the Z is 0. No, what I'm doing is I'm just showing you a whole bunch of advanced AutoCAD options, because you might run into a place where your data is one way and you've got to figure out how to make your client's drawing. If your data has all been imported in XYZ and you want to get it flat, you got to figure out how to do it. Okay? So here now, I've just quickly made all of those flat. And now look, now I can change my line type and everything so that it looks right. Okay, I'm teaching you shortcut tricks to get to the output you want if you've got everything in 3D and your client wants it in 2D. Okay? So you just have to get good at all these AutoCAD tools, because you never know what you're going to get, right? You get a bunch of survey data and they say, okay, give me this, give me this, give me this. How did you get it? Where did it come from? Somebody might have put it in 3D. You have to be able to work back and forth from 3D to 2D. Okay? So there's a few ways to get it back and forth. One way is to take all of your lines and just tell it that the start Z and the end Z is 0. So that's a quick way. The other way is to do the flat shot command and trace a new one in your drawing. Those are two ways to do it. The third way is to go right to here and just read your dimensions and put them on. So those are 3 techniques that you could and maybe want to use. Okay? So here's your third way to do it. I've got some data, okay? And I've got it in my XYZ format. And I want to put it into Revit, because Revit's going to draw it for me, right? It's kind of like, man, that's pretty simple. It's going to make my topography, and I'm going to have the whole darn thing right there. Okay, so let me put this in there. Now, when we put it into Revit, let me make a new Revit drawing. What am I going to need? If I make a new topography, think. Boy, this is taking a while. If I want to put this in as a topography on my site plan layer, and I'm going to make those hide for a moment. And this thing is huge, isn't it? So I probably ought to like do 1 inch equals 200 or something. At least 1 inch equals 100. Okay, so if I'm going to make a topography, I could place the points, but I don't know where they are, right? It doesn't give me an XYZ. So I'd have to bring in what's called a points file, and we've done that before. But my points file has to be made properly. So my trick is, how do I take this data and make a points file? The way to do it is to just set up a blank file. Here's my blank file. And literally, I copy and paste each column in. Control C. Now, there might be formatting that's causing me problems. So I'm going to paste special. Values only. Control C. Right click, paste special, values only. And I have to do them in the XYZ order. Control C. Paste special, values only. Now I've got them in my own file. Okay. File. Download as CSV. That's my file right there. So I'm going to put that on my desktop really quickly so that I can get to it later on. I could probably get it out of my downloads too. So now when I make my topo surface, create from imports points file, I guess I could go to my desktop. There it is, right there, CSV. Open. And there it is. I got the thing. Is that too cool? Or what? See why I like Revit, you guys? Let's see. I think, wow, that's not bad, huh? That's pretty close to exactly, I think. So whoever's information I used, I think was pretty consistent. Now, what's the benefit of what I just did there? The benefit is I did not mistype anything. Okay, yeah, Laura goes, awesome, it was ours. Michelle and Laura, yeah, it was. The only difference was I scaled this down to 92%. Okay. Yeah, so that's really, that's kind of cool. So I like Revit from that point of view. Now, if you work with a program called Civil 3D, AutoCAD Civil 3D, it's exactly the same. So AutoCAD has a very, very, it's easier to use for civil stuff than Revit. So Civil 3D can do this also. And believe it or not, AutoCAD can do this, but you have to go through like 5 command steps and an express tool to be able to do it. But AutoCAD can do this. And if you're interested, you can write to me and I will allow you to use that as one of your optional modules to figure out how to do it. And I don't remember who it is that uses Vectorworks. Is that Kara? Or is that... Who uses Vectorworks? No, it must be Zandria. Vectorworks might be able to do this. I'd be interested to see if it can. Yes, yes. It does it just as easy, but the interface is really a civil engineering interface, and like Revit is a construction interface, right? And if you don't know construction, you would never know where to go to get anything. It's the same way for Civil 3D. You would have to be like a real civil person. And so I've looked at it and played with it. I think Professor NoCow knows Civil 3D. So at some point I might team teach a little bit with him to get him to do some of this stuff as we're going. Okay. Well, yeah. So Laura says, I see. So use Revit. It depends on what you want to do. Again, all of this, what I'm showing you are many versions to get to the same place. Okay? Now, it could be that really what you want to do is just use the XY data, and you know you're just doing boundaries in XY, and go back in and pop in a couple of elevations. Right? If you were doing a quick land planning submittal for somebody, that's what you would do. However, if you're trying to do drainage or grading or cut and fill, you're really going to want this in 3D. Okay? You're really going to want it in 3D. So, there's that. All right. So your job, though, what I'm going to ask you to do is to just try a little bit on these. You don't have anything due on these. What I want to see is the flat 2D that you did up here. That's what I want to see. Flat 2D that just, creates the property line as if you were doing it for a planning submittal. But now we're really going to start talking about getting some survey data right. Because what do you see here that's just not right? What do you see? It doesn't quite look right, correct? Shouldn't there be like a stream or something kind of going around here and over here? It's like it's missing stuff. I mean, it's kind of okay, but I'm not positive that we're really great with it. And what would happen if I really wanted to know from here what would happen, as we talked about before, if I wanted to know what went on along there and what the grade looked like? Maybe it looks like that and maybe it doesn't. Right? And what if I wanted to know what it looked like over there? Does it look like that? Or are these slopes right? Are they wrong? what's going on. So what we have to do now is called a traverse, which is essentially walk along a straight line and get the data from that straight line. And I've got two programs set up for you to show you how critical it is to pick where you're going to get your data from and how it works. Now, with Revit, you can go get as many data points as you want, but remember, when you're really doing this in the field and you're really surveying, it might take you 10 or 15 minutes to get each rod reading. Okay? It's taking us seconds to get a rod reading. But you got to set it up, make sure your GPS is connected, make sure it's straight up and down and plumb, and get your reading, and probably let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes so that it can average out its reading and get a good reading, and then pick it up and walk over to another one and get it down and make sure that you're straight and that you're in the right location and all this kind of stuff. So you would want to pick your points carefully. We're going to pick in the first game just some points that are evenly distributed. I had my game designer I think he broke it into either 5 pieces or 6 pieces. I don't remember which. So there's either like 4 or 5 or 6 rods on each line. And I want you to do it, and I want you to get the data and create the section views. Okay? Create the section views. So you're going to use the Y and the Z data to draw. You're going to draw the Y and the Z because your X should be constant. And so you're just going to draw using your Y and your Z to get the section. Okay? After you've done that, you're going to go back and you're going to go, oh, okay, that was great, but I actually need to get more data points in this one area, fewer data points in another area, and I'm going to let you get more data points for each traverse. Now, what I would do is I would put each traverse on its own survey record sheet. Okay? So let me show you how that works. Here is a new game. And you're going to see, oh, that's not the right new game. That was the wrong one. Oh, what's going on? Did I put all the wrong ones on here? Hold on a sec. What did I do? It'll be just a moment. Okay, there's 4 lines without rods. Maybe I'm on the, maybe they're the, Nope, that's my one without. Darn it, where did they go? This is bumming me out. Let's see. Okay, well, we can just, you know what? We'll just use this one. I want to find my other one. Hold on a sec. Man, now I can't even get my bookmarks bar to work. There we go. Let's see if it's that one. No. Okay. Sorry about that. We are back to then. What we're going to do is I'm just going to have you go to this one. Using game number 2. You're going to have to place the rods yourself. Here's how you do it. Okay, so once you're going, you find yourself one of the traverse lines. See the black lines? There should be, I think, 4 of them. So go to one of the traverse lines. Go to one end or the other. So there we go. And I can call this traverse number 1. Now, when I can hold the control key down, see the little green dot? That targets where I want to put my rod. So I left click my mouse and I have a rod and it tells me the status of it. Okay, so now I can go a little bit farther. That all looks kind of flat, so I'm going to hold my control down. Left click, there's another rod. And see how my X is staying the same? Left click, there's another rod. So my X is always the same. Left click, another rod. But I'm up to 72 feet. 78 feet. 70. Okay, now I'm kind of flat right here. That was all kind of flat. Now I'm going down. 74. 70. So you see how you do it. You go along 64. And where it looks steep, I'm probably going to put a couple more in. And you would be reading your rod readings as you go. And I just hold the left control button down to do that. Now, be careful, because if you hold control and W, it kicks you out of the game. There we go. Okay, so those would be my rod readings along that traverse. So here's what your next step is. Let me get back to escape. All right, so here's what your lab is. Okay, let's take a look and see if I can come back. So I'm not able to do this one because I can't seem to find my game file number 1 to work. That's okay. We can skip it. You're going to do a traverse. You place your rods yourself. Okay? And any player, the player places the rods using control and left mouse. Otherwise, you're just working along. And you want to do all four traverses. You're going to make 4 section views. Okay? You get that data on 4 separate ones. So here's what I'd like to do. Let's have the breakout sessions are listed in the last one. Let's see. Let's go here. Here are the breakout session links. So there's your just a sec was on. I'll get with you in just a sec on that. So there are your breakouts, and let me just see who's here. No, we're going to use different partners this time. So number 1, I think there'll be different partners. We'll find out. So I'm going to have Ayub and Isaac. You're going to be on breakout 1. Okay. Number 2 is going to be Benjamin and Kara. Number 3 is Laura and Natalia. Number 4 is Michelle and Wasan. And number 5 is then Ranulfo and Rokai. So I think that kind of split them up differently. I just did a little pattern of what was on my chat list. So that's going to be your job. Now I've got a meeting, unfortunately, that I need to go to. So the goal then is for each of you to create 4, as a team, create 4 survey records and share those survey records with your colleague. Okay. 4 traverses, and then create the section views from each traverse, which is the YZ drawing. And you can use Autocad to do that. Okay? You can use Autocad to do that. I'll make a little video to show you guys how to do that and how to use Revit also to do that. But for right now, you can just go right into model space and draw your lines using YZ, point to point to point. Haha, rough estimate. How many rods should you be doing? That's the trick. I'm going to let you figure that out. Where it's flat, you need very few rods. Where the slope changes a lot, you need a bunch of rods. Usually, you walk the traverse first to sort of get the idea of it. Okay? It's a little bit harder because we're not really on it, but you can get sort of an estimate yourself. Yes, and you should be using your Google Sheets to record your coordinates. One sheet for each of the traverses. Okay? And you can eventually name the traverse by the x coordinate that stays the same or approximately the same, right? It's like that one that I did was all 501 to 502. So you could call it, the 500 traverse or the 501 traverse. Okay? There you go. And so Wasan asks about the discussion. I haven't figured out what our discussion ought to be for this week of what to post. I think your best thing to post is your last week you should have been sort of posting hopefully your boundary drawings. So this week if you can post your traverses. Now the best thing to do is compare your boundary drawing with somebody who was not in your group and just overlay them. That's the best thing that you can do. So let's see if it says to do that in here. Yeah, so the first thing that you might want to do, although you can do it on the discussion board, is compare your 2D AutoCAD property line drawing to a colleague's file. And it's best to do it to somebody who had different team. And that helps check your survey record. And you just basically overlay the files, right? You just insert one on top of the other at 0, 0. And they should be identical. Okay? So that's the first thing that you should do. Just share with each other. Get online, probably with your new breakout partners. And then go, don't worry about this thing because it's wrong. I got you the wrong file and now I can't find it. Go straight to using game 2. Okie doke. All right, off to your breakout sessions. I'm off to another meeting. I'll post this recording in about an hour or two. All right. Enjoy.